everybody. Welcome to our virtual informational session about the Activate Rural Public Workshop Series. Thank you all for taking the time today to learn more about this new program that we're launching. Oh, and I should mention, sorry, with the logo there, that it is a program that is being partly supported by the Employment and Economic Development deed as an additional program to the Learning Lab that we have going with the Activate Rural program. So I'll talk a little bit about that later on. My screen not moving. Oh, there we go. All right, a bit of an overview of what we'll be covering during this session is that we'll take a moment to introduce ourselves, each of us, and then we'll have an overview of DoPT. Then we'll go through an overview of the Activate Rural program and also describe and give you an idea of what the public workshop series will be all about, including the virtual and in-person, and then we'll talk about Activate coaching sessions and the timeline for this program. Then we'll have plenty of time at the end for Q&A that we'll take even during the presentations. Feel free to throw in questions. Benjamin will keep track of them. We can answer those at the end. All right, hello, I'm Sarina Otaibi. I'm the Activate Rural Program Director at the Department of Public Transformation, DoPT. I've been with DoPT now for 2 years. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. So a little bit of background is a lot of my on-the-ground work happened in Granite Falls, Minnesota, small rural community in Southwest Minnesota. And I'll probably touch on that a little bit throughout the presentation. But my real passion is what you're going to hear about today, all about buildings and how to transform them into creative, welcoming spaces for small rural communities. Benjamin?
That's me. Hi, everyone. My name is Benjamin Domask-Ruh, if we want to be formal about it, which we do, of course. I am the Activate Rural Program Coordinator. I've been here for 1 year. I just had my 1 year Department of Public Transformation anniversary. So that's pretty cool. Learned a lot already. And excited to continue supporting and growing and learning with all these wonderful people, you included. When I'm not doing this, I'm a professional performing and teaching artist in the circus arts. So I've traveled around the world doing juggling, clown, mime, music, all that cool stuff. We can talk about that later, though. We're here for Activate Rural. Take it away, Ash.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Ash Hansen. I'm the Creative Executive Officer with Department of Public Transformation. I use she, her pronouns. And as we get started, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat with your name, where you're joining us from, what brings you here. And just make sure that you select to everyone instead of to hosts and panelists so that everyone can see your message as you are saying hello. So today we are gathered here in this virtual space for our team. We're here from across Minnesota Makoche, and I know that there's a lot of people joining from places outside of Minnesota, but we're here on occupied and colonized land, which was and is home to the Dakota and Ojibwe people. We're grateful to the past, present, and future stewards of these lands, and we strive to be compassionate guests. We also acknowledge the colonization embedded in our systems, technologies, and ways of thinking every day. And right now we're using equipment and internet access not accessible to many Indigenous and rural communities. So we invite you to take a moment of breath now to acknowledge the land from which you are joining us and consider our collective responsibility to make good use of this time here together. Thank you for being here. So let us also remember we're humans here on the internet. In the event that our session freezes or lags or we can't change the slides or anything like that happens, we invite you to challenge yourself to take a moment and breathe and contemplate one of the last things you heard instead of feeling agitated by the often inevitable tech hiccups. So during the webinar, please use the Q&A function located at the bottom of your Zoom window to submit questions. You can also put them in the chat. If you can't see the Q&A function, you can hit the 3 dots at the bottom and it should pop up another window with Q&A in it as well. But if you use the Q&A, then we'll keep better track of the questions because the chat feature things can sometimes get lost. And we'll try to remind you of this as we go along. So we're going to do our best to provide information, answer your questions, but it's possible some questions will be left unanswered at the end of our time. So if you have more questions about the program after the session, or if more come to you, please reach out to Sarina or Benjamin via email, and we'll put the emails in the chat. So this session will be recorded and posted on the Activate Rural page on our website. And with that, we can move on to the next slide to talk a little bit about Department of Public Transformation. Great, thank you. So Department of Public Transformation is an artist-led nonprofit organization that works to develop creative strategies for increased community connection, civic engagement, and equitable participation in rural places. We believe in the power of rural creativity and collaboration to address community challenges and opportunities. Can you please go to the next slide? Great. Our work seeks to support rural communities by identifying and leveraging resources through artist-led, creative, cross-disciplinary, and cross-sector programs on a local, regional, and national levels. So we do this through programs and projects like this one, Activate Rural, including this recently launched public workshop series supporting activation of community assets across Minnesota. Ignite Rural, which is an at-home artist residency supporting rural BIPOC and Native artists to utilize creative approaches to work in and with their home communities across the upper Midwest. Beyond the Clock, an ongoing national network and digital learning exchange to uplift and connect rural cultural workers across the country. I see some of our Beyond the Clock guests here today. And the Yes House, where I'm at right now, which is an in-progress creative community gathering space on Main Street in Granite Falls, Minnesota, using an artist-led, ongoing, community-centered design-build process in Southwest Minnesota. And we do all of this work. Can you go to the next slide? With our amazing staff, we've got the 3 folks you see here today, and then Luana Otaibi, Elisa Franco, who's joining us as well in the chat, and Holly Dahl and Hannah Holman. We have a good balance of rural and urban representation on our staff and board as we strive for building and strengthening rural-urban solidarity. Next slide, please. Our 4 key and often intertwining program areas seek to connect rural municipalities and artists, activate rural community assets, support rural arts and cultural workers, and nurture the rural arts and culture field. Our work sits at the intersection of arts and rural economic and community development. So we're a nonprofit organization that seeks grant funding, but we also act as an intermediary, distributing funds directly to artists and communities. We have experience piloting and building programs, as well as keeping a bird's eye view of field work. We often operate as translators, connectors, pollinators, promoting geographic equity and rural-urban solidarity. And like those of you here today, we believe that rural people and places have the answers they need to address community challenges. But we also recognize that a historic lack of equitable access to resources and information, economies of extraction, and narratives of deficit have fragmented many of our communities and made it challenging to support the projects and people seeking to do creative and inspiring work to better benefit our communities, which is long-term and often generational in nature. We know that with proper support, we can reimagine our rural spaces and share the knowledge, skills, and resources we have to dream and build a more equitable and just future. So thank you for taking the time to learn about Department of Public Transformation, the Activate Rural Public Workshop Series with us here today. And I'm going to hand it back over to Sarina to kick us off into Activate Rural.
Thank you, Ashley, for giving the DoPT overview. I'll be talking about the Activate Rural program. Okay, so some of you, and I think I see some on the list, may be familiar with our Activate Rural Learning Lab, which is a cohort-based resource workshop series. And that is limited to 5 teams, core teams, and projects, and 5 communities that we're working with now almost a year. And that info session and Activate Rural Learning Lab started last year. And so what we're talking about today is a new program area, also a part of Activate Rural, called the Public Workshop Series. And I would like to take a moment here to mention, as some of you may be wondering if you're familiar with that, the Learning Lab opportunity, is that we are we do plan on seeking additional funding to make that opportunity happen again, another Learning Lab and cohort opportunity for next year. So just keep your eye out for information about that one to open it up to more folks. But the one for today, the Activate Rural Public Workshop Series that we're going to be talking about, is a part of our overall Activate Rural program. And this is a quick overview description of what of the Activate Rural program. These are photos from our Learning Lab cohort, our visits to their communities and the buildings that they're working on, and our cohort workshop. But with the Activate Rural program, we work with folks that are in the middle of creating anywhere from creative tap rooms and gathering places to multi-use community hubs and knowledge centers. Activate Rural supports creative building activation, that projects that inspire, motivate, and open up possibilities for rural communities across Minnesota. This is a little bit about, I just want to give a quick overview of the Activate cohort, Learning Lab cohort. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a group that they're in the middle of their 2-year learning lab journey, and they're each cultivating, welcoming, and creative spaces in their community. And it's a little more involved, so we work with them on a monthly, daily, weekly basis, and each of them received funding as well. The Learning Lab was funded through the Mellon Foundation, which is different from this workshop series that is funded through DEED. Let's see, these are the 5 communities that we're working with. You can see it on the map there. So Mahnomen, Buell, and Redwood Falls, Jasper, and Spring Grove. The goal for both programs within Activate Rural is, or the goal, or I say challenge opportunity that we are constantly working towards, is to establish equitable access to financial and social capital, and then our work around process transparency and public participation, so that creative community engagement, that is all about that process transparency and public participation. And then equitable access to financial and social capital. We understand it is difficult and challenging for projects in small rural communities to access capital to make their building projects happen. It's also hard to find the capacity and social capital to keep that project or business or enterprise going and sustained as well. Oh my dear. Sorry, I'm still okay, there we go. Sorry, I keep jumping and going back. Okay, and the Activate Rural program as a whole is based on a framework that we came up with based on our experiences with the Yes House building that Ashley mentioned earlier, and some of the work that I've done in Granite Falls as well, that I'll be talking about here in a little bit. But it is, we believe in artist-led asset activation. This is a quick format framework. I'm not going to go into deep details, but just so you get an idea of, we work with artists, supporting artists or creative entrepreneurs, and in the activation of their existing assets in their communities. And I have definitions of our definition of artists. So it's a very broad definition. You know, for us, you are an artist if you are a creative, resourceful, inspired individual driven to collaborate across all sectors of public, private, and civic life. We include all mediums, such as visual, multimedia, social, civic, culinary, textile, folk, we also mean culture bearers, craftspeople, artisans, hobbyists, contractors, and handy people. So there are a lot of different ways If you make something or create something, you are an artist in our definition. And what we mean by activator are, and activators are are folks that we work with. You could be an activator and an artist. Actually, most of the time you are both. Is anyone that's an instigator, organizer, connector, and cheerleader of a project or community initiative. They are the folks that are usually the first ones to say yes to something, jump on board, try it, are wanting to innovate, try new things, and also are there to support that effort along the way. And an asset, so there's a lot of different ways you can see, you can define assets or cultural assets, but in this context, we really are talking about buildings. That's the focus of Activate Rural, our building assets in rural communities. That can include cafes, churches, schools, commercial spaces in a downtown district, even outside of, could be an old barn, could be an old schoolhouse outside of a, city limits. But the focus is that these are spaces that connect people and engage the community. So they have to be open to the public, welcoming to different age groups, backgrounds, and be a space where people can connect. And like I mentioned earlier, so the Activate Rural program is based off of one building that DoPT currently is in progress right now, called the Yes House in downtown Granite Falls. You can learn more about the Yes House on our website. And then also my personal experience around founding, getting up and running a Blue Nose Gopher Public House Cooperative. So it's a tap room, cafe style space, but also does a lot of art, like music. It has a gallery wall. It's basically it's a community hub for Granite Falls. And it's a cooperative, so it's run, no one person owns it. It's owned by many community members. And this was a 5-year journey. It took 5 years to make happen. And so I've personally learned a lot along the way. And this is kind of and I've done other building projects as well, but this one was by far the most difficult and challenging that I've ever gone through. And it's constantly a learning, like where I take my learnings from to bring to the Activate Rural program, as well as our experience renovating and transforming this 2-story, but also basement level building at the in downtown Granite Falls called the Yes House. All right, a little bit about the Activate Rural Public Workshop series. As the title says, there will be workshops. There will be virtual workshops and there will be in-person workshops, which I will talk about here in a minute. There will be there's access to the Activate Rural Learning Lab, resource guides, and workshops. And resource guides, so we've been developing quite a bit over the past year as we've been working with the Learning Lab cohort. Lots of templates, lots of learnings there that we have. So all of those will provide during workshops, but as well during activation coaching sessions. Like if there is a specific need for a template or a resource, we will look through our stuff or come up with one, because we're creating as we go, because we're learning that, oh, this is a need, so let's figure out how to make this happen. And if we don't have a specific resource, we are connected and aware of other organizations doing work around business development, or other types of other programs that may be more beneficial, and then we'll help you connect to a resource or another organization that can help you more directly. The topics that we're covering is around community engagement, business and operational viability, and also peer and network support. And around peer and network support, we are dedicated to connecting folks that are doing similar building projects around the state, or making aware of, hey, actually this group over here is doing a similar project. You might want to connect with them. we're trying to create a more of a network around this type of work of folks that are activating spaces in their community for art and creative, for creativity to happen, and bringing people together. All right, and if you're wondering if this is for you, it is for you if you are focused on designing a gathering place for community connection through creativity. So even if you're, like a business that you've been operating for a long time, maybe 10 years, and you're like, you know what, I'd really like to invite more of the community to be a part of my, my space, or to utilize, maybe there's a extra space in your building that you'd like to transform into more of a public active space of some sort. Or you could be an existing business or organization that you have been operating, but if you don't feel like you're connecting with the community as much, or you'd like to connect with a specific segment of the community and you're not sure how to go about that, this program is also for you. Or if you're looking at collaborating with another organization, jointly owning a building together or operating a building, there's a lot of different scenarios that you might be, and if you're not sure if this program fits, just feel free to send us an email and ask. We'll always either hop on a call to talk through it, or let you know via email. Also, for the deed work, you do need to be located in Minnesota, or a Minnesota rural community or a Native nation that shares this geography with a population of around 20,000 or less. Oh my gosh. Why? Okay. And then also operate out of a building or have plans to operate out of a building. So you need to be a brick and mortar business or organization.
Is this a good time, Sarina, for our first poll, perhaps?
Yes, I was going to do it right after this one.
Okay.
The first poll is about what phase you're in, right? Okay, awesome. I was just going to cover this and then yes. Here we go. So, and then the types of businesses or organizations, it can be a nonprofit, a cooperative, LLC, public benefit corporations. And I know there's a lot of other business entities I'm not naming here, like legal structures. Those would it's basically any, all of the above that would have, as long as you have those goals that I mentioned earlier above. But some ideas of the types of businesses or organizations are restaurants, cafes, tap rooms, breweries, wineries, multi-use community and cultural hubs, art galleries, artist housing, design studios, small-scale manufacturing production, co-working space, probably other types of artist-led businesses we can't even think of. And so, and I should mention that this program is for artists, creative entrepreneurs, and business owners. Now let's do that poll, Benjamin. So we're gonna,
Oh, go ahead.
okay, I'm gonna try this poll thing and ask you all a question about where each of you are. If you are in the middle of a project, if you have a physical location, are you in the planning idea phase, as in you don't have a building quite yet, you're still doing the planning idea, but would like to make it happen? Or in progress, where construction is ongoing, or operational phase, where you are an existing building or a business and organization already operating out of a building, or other, you're just here to learn and make connections. Oh, cool. I can see them. All right, so it sounds like a lot of folks are unsure or here to learn and make connections. Awesome.
That's perfect.
All right, I think we could.
Boop. Poll ended. I'm going to share these results with everybody. There you go.
Cool. Yeah, so it looks like a couple of you are in the planning and idea phase. Activate Rural would be perfect for you all. A lot of the folks in the Learning Lab cohort are in the same phase where they're about to purchase a building or take on a building, or they're planning what that will be like, or that experience. And a lot of them are also in the in progress phase too. They're figuring it out, or they're in the middle of a fundraising capital campaign. Awesome. Thank you all for taking part in that. So does it leave Benjamin? Or how does this work? Do I click?
Sarina, you can just X out of that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Okay, so how many workshops there'll be? There are four in-person one-day workshops located in all four regions, or not all, at least four regions of the state. I know there are more regions of the state. But we actually are hosting, except for the one in Granite Falls, the other three will be in our Learning Lab cohort team locations where they're located. So the Southwest one is coming up here in Granite Falls on May 20th. And then later this year, we're going to have one in Buell. And then next year, we'll have one in Mahnomen. And then next year in the fall, we'll have one in Spring Grove. And so we'd encourage you, if you are near one of those locations, to wait, unless you want to travel, you can, more than welcome, of course, to travel. But we will have, just so you are aware, if you can't make it or it's too far of a distance to make it to the Granite Falls one, then we will have other opportunities. But some of you might want to come to Granite Falls anyway, and that's totally okay too. And each of them will highlight local Activate Rural Learning Lab projects within. So we'll have speakers from the community, and maybe even, and we also have plans for additional speakers from each region, just to cover other resources that are out there, for example, funding or access to capital for projects. And then the virtual workshops, which will be open to anyone, anywhere. Again, it's mainly for Minnesota, but even if folks from outside of Minnesota hop on, that's completely okay because it's virtual. And those will be 1 to 2 hours, and we'll highlight activation building projects from around the state. So we plan on inviting folks that are currently doing this work in their community to come and talk about their projects, so that, again, it's a place for connecting the dots with folks, or connecting to another project that might be going on, or learning from what they're doing. And most importantly, all workshops are free to attend, but must register in advance, as our in-person ones will have a limit to attendance. And I should note, we do have travel stipends available for the in-person workshops on a need basis and a first come, first served basis as well. And they are limited to folks, like, for example, if you're going to the Southwest one, folks living in the Southwest that can access those travel stipends. And here is oh yeah, and you can, what do you do with a camera, Benjamin?
Yeah, you can scan this QR code with your
Oh yeah, QR
camera.
code, thank you.
It'll take you to the form to register, but filling out a form on your phone isn't always the most fun thing. So there will be a link emailed after the presentation today.
Yeah. And it is up on our website, the May 20th Granite Falls workshop, with a description. And we will be adding a list of speakers once we start confirming those lists of speakers.
Mhm.
All right, and then the activation coaching sessions are another part of this program offering. These are ongoing. So we have already a scheduling Calendly calendar up on our website page for this program. If you go to our website, go to Activate Rural, select a public workshop series, you will see dates and times available right now in April and next month. to meet with Benjamin and I and talk about your project. It'll be an initial 30-minute session to get to know you and your project, make sure it is a fit and that we can help and support you in your work. But you may request additional sessions that can be longer, like up to an hour. We can also answer questions via email if that's preferred, or hop on a phone call. And then all sessions are free, so we can work one-on-one with groups, and we will not, yeah, it's just free to do it, even ongoing for additional sessions. Oh, and then like I mentioned before, if we can't provide support, we aren't sure how to help, we'll try to connect you with another resource. Here is a timeline, just to give you an overview. We're doing the virtual session right now, and then the May 20th Activate Rural workshop in person is in Granite Falls at the Yes House, so it's a cool opportunity to check out that building as well. Then there will be a virtual Activate Rural workshop at the end of June. We just picked out a date today, but we're going to work with some speakers to figure out a final day. But you all will probably receive an email including that information. Sign up for that first one. We'll have another one in July. It looks like just, yeah, one after that, June, July, and September for this year. And then in October, we will have a second Activate Rural in-person workshop in Buell. And then ongoing throughout that time, we will have one-on-one activation coaching sessions. And here's year 2 next year. We will have another virtual information session for the following opportunities. And yeah, you can see a list here. A lot of early in the year, we'll have some virtual activation or Activate Rural workshops, and then we're 2 more in-person one's in the summer, one in the fall. And then we wrap up October of next year for this public workshop series. Benjamin, now I would love to do the second poll.
Okay, here it comes. Coming in hot. Poll number 2.
Yeah, we would like to know, now that you've heard about an overview of Activate Rural, what type of topics or technical assistance that you would like from us, so we can it'll help us plan the virtual and in-person workshops. And if it's not listed here, something that you're wondering about or want to know or more assistance with, feel free to type it into the chat. Because we did not put in all the possible topics. We just did a sample.
Mhm.
A lot about building ownership structures. Capital campaign. Fundraising, yeah. Community engagement.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
We've been finding the same type of topics are coming to the top with our learning cohort as well.
No one cares about marketing.
Well, 2 people do, yeah.
Well, 2 people. I'm not calling you 2 people. No one. I'm so sorry. All right, let's
But
end
also,
the poll, share these results.
yeah. But also marketing can be a part of community engagement work too. Getting the word out there, engaging with folks it can be seen as a strategy for marketing. All right, awesome, great. This is really helpful. Are there any additional topics mentioned that are not listed here? About process?
Mhm.
That's a good one. Thank you for sharing.
I think that's something we're working to address with the transparency and accountability work.
Thank you, Benjamin. Yes, we have been doing a lot of deep work around process transparency and accountability to community as you are doing projects, especially building projects. and what does that look like, how the different community engagement approaches, and the different activities or actions that you would take as a result of, depending on which community engagement approach that you're taking. There's 4 different ones. And so anyway, that would really, around process, that is a big focus of ours as a part of the Activate Rural program. Working with city and county government, definitely. Marketing, community engagement are the same for us also. Just describes the scope of our considerations better. Awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing. Now, we have about 20 minutes or so, and it may not take up the entire time, but are there any questions or additional thoughts and comments about topics of interest? I'm sorry, were there any earlier, Benjamin, that you saw?
We had one from earlier that was, this is so exciting. Plainview, Minnesota is ready for this. We're excited too. We did such a good job on these slides. There are no questions, Sarina. Amazing.
I just wanted to chime in here too, in case I'm commenting on Vicky's comment here about working with city and county government. If there are specific creative strategies you are interested in working with your community or in the civic realm that are not covered by the Activate Rural program, you can reach out to Department of Public Transformation at large as well and see if there are specific consultancy opportunities or other workshops or resources that we can provide as well. So if this gets your wheels turning about other kinds of artist engagement that doesn't have to do with buildings, we can also potentially help with that as well.
And I just saw a question, is this program applicable if the building the community is trying to activate is city-owned? And the answer to that is yes, definitely. There are a lot of instances where it's city-owned, the city's not sure, or needs, yeah, someone else to activate it or whatever. You're in partnership with the city. That happened. That's a common common occurrence and is definitely applicable to this program. All right, another minute if any additional questions. Otherwise, we could probably wrap up. And just to note, like, I don't know, Benjamin, did you know? Yeah, this webinar is being recorded, and so we will post it to our website so that you're able to share it with other folks that you think may benefit from learning more about this program. Do you have resources that you can share, like contracts for shared workspaces, space use fees, and billing systems? I'm looking for help with the specifics. Yes, we do, because we've been doing the same for the Yes House.
And for the
same
Learning
process.
Lab, the Learning Lab cohort. So like templates
Right.
and resources like this have been a big part of the work that we're developing for and with the Learning Lab.
Right.
Yeah, get specific with us. We're here to go specific.
Yeah, and that sounds like a great opportunity to schedule an activation workshop. I mean, my God, activation coaching session where we can get really specific to your project. And also I wanted to note, if a time or date doesn't work on the schedule, feel free to reach out to us via email, and we could probably find another time or date to accommodate. Whereas, for example, Roberta. Okay. I just like catching up with the comments.
Well, I love that, Don Sherman. That's great. We have a number of or a couple of architects and architectural designers that we work with that would be excellent to bring in for these kinds of conversations around zoning and planning and how to engage local contractors and city staff and architects and planners in this work. There's one question left in the Q&A, which is, do I understand correctly that there is no formal application? It is on a rolling basis.
Correct. Yeah, so there isn't, for the activation session, coaching sessions, and for the workshops, there's no application to be a part of the program. You can join one workshop or one virtual workshop and do a couple activation sessions, or you could join all the workshops or all the virtual ones and in person. So it's up to you where you want to plug in. You can plug in at any time during when it works best for you. And like I mentioned, the Learning Lab opportunity is different. That did have an application process, the one we launched last year. And like I mentioned, we are looking to hopefully make that happen again next year. So you'd have to look for opportunities for that. Hopefully maybe later this year or early next year. All right, yeah, thank you. Thank you all for coming. And again, reach out if you have additional questions that you think of later, or want to know if we can help you with something specific, just email myself or Benjamin. Our emails are here. They're also on the website. And you'll probably get a follow-up email from us too that you'll see additional contact info. All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks, Benjamin and Sarina. Greatest show on earth.
Oh,
You too.
Thank you. Take that, Ringling. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for offering I saw another Q&A, open door workshop in Plainview. Hopefully we can plan more of these workshops in the future. That is a goal of ours.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bye everyone.